So now that we have all of our cream makeup on and it is all set, at this point you can move on to putting on your blush, your eyebrows, lips, little mascara and eyeliner, and you'd be good to go. But really quick, I do want to show what would happen if you did just add like a little bit of like a powder contour to it. I won't even do like the powder highlight, but just for a powder contour, just so that you can kind of see what would happen if you just like amped it up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and use a color that's pretty similar to what my cream contour color was, and I like to use like either like an angled brush, or I have just kind of like a smaller, again I really like brushes that are denser just because I think it does a little bit of a better job of applying everything. And so I can just kind of go back over, and this you want to put your powders on kind of already in little circles because there's not as much of a chance, I feel like, to get this to blend out as well as when you use a cream. And so this can kind of just go in and like bump up what you already had, and that can just kind of help any areas that maybe you want to be more intense. I think that using powder is so much easier than having to cream contour. I really don't cream contour unless I really want to get like intense definition on my face, and even then you really can just do it with powders. And then I'll even take just like the side of my brush and go down my nose like that. Nose contouring, not my favorite thing in the world, but I do it sometimes, and so you can kind of just take it, and this will just kind of help intensify it and kind of blend everything together. And then same like if I wanted to go in and just kind of add in a little bit to my eyes as well, I can use, again, another really dense brush and just kind of like pack that color in. So you still don't have to have like tons and tons of makeup to add just a little bit of definition. This is essentially the exact same color that I used in cream, just in a powder form. And so if you wanted to go in and you're like, but I do kind of want to use like a powder highlight, I try to use ones if I am going to have, like if I know I'm going to be photographed, or I know if I'm going to be like on stage or showing somebody something for stage. I own tons of really glittery, shimmery highlights, but I do try to use ones that are a little bit less intense. So you can use like a matte highlight, a matte eyeshadow to highlight. I have one, excuse me, so I get really bright for a second. I have one from MAC that's like called their like mineralized skin finish, and this like has a little bit of like a glow to it without being like overwhelmingly glowy. So I will use this usually, and I will come in again, another really dense brush. Some people like to use like angled brushes, some people will use fan brushes. Me personally, I just have these like $3 e.l.f. powder brushes that I kind of use, and doing something like this, and they have it in different shades too, but basically it's like a highlighter that it will like brighten you, but it won't make you like oily and shiny and glittery like in that kind of a way. And I just kind of like to have something like this to kind of like go through and really kind of like just mix everything together. And so you can see like doing this just kind of like buffs everything together. If you're ever having a hard time getting your neck to blend, I feel like having a little highlighter like that will really help it. And then you can also go in with your eyes and do the same thing. And so again, it's still not tons of makeup, it's still just like basic face makeup. If you don't have any cream makeup, you could certainly just use like a powder highlighter and contour like this, and that would get you kind of the same effect. But you can see it just sort of like finishes everything a little bit and adds just a little bit more intensity. And so while we're on this part of the face, the next thing we can talk about is blush. So I don't always think that everybody needs to wear blush. I do think it's like personal preference. I think it depends. Like if you are already somebody who gets really red, you may not want to have blush on if you're going to be like dancing and doing a lot of physical activity or under really bright lights. Some people, their contour can be their blush, or their blush can be their contour. And some people, I think it's just not necessary. I think it has to do with the character sometimes too. But if you are going to do a blush, I try to go for something, at least if it's just like a basic corrective, that's more of like a natural kind of a color. Me in my real life, I do like to wear like lavender and like purpley blush that's like glittery and stuff, but for this I'm just going to go for more of like a dusty kind of a pink color. And when you apply it, you want to make sure you don't get too close to under your eye or too far below your nose, just because you don't want it to like overtake your entire face. Me personally, I do love to wear a lot of blush, and I often wear it like that, but realistically, if you just smile and kind of hit like the apples of your cheeks, I like to pull it back back into the contour, and then everything just kind of like blends seamlessly and gives you like a natural kind of a flush. So you can just like smile, and then you kind of just like follow where that would be. So this is like a really, really fluffy blush brush. I prefer to use something like this. I just think it makes it easier to apply it. And so I think a lot of people overdo it with blush on stage. And so for me right now, this feels like a ton. But you have to remember, if like I'm in like really natural light right now with like my blinds open and stuff, but if I was on stage and under stage lights, this probably wouldn't look too bad. I know it's really trendy to have like a little bit of blush on like the bottom of your nose, but for stage that might not be everybody's favorite thing, so that's why I'm like, you might have to just like wear things like that a little bit differently. Like this isn't really like how I like to wear my blush in real life. Usually I wear it like all the way up on my forehead and a little on my chin and stuff, but if I'm just trying to do like something more on like the natural kind of like basic side, this is more like the color and the placement that I would go for. And so again, I'm going to use a little bit of this highlighter, and that's why I really like to have a highlighter that's not like super shimmery and glittery. It's just like enough to kind of like give my skin like a little bit of a sheen, and it kind of also just helps you like blend everything back out. But you could certainly use a matte one for this as well, and that'll make sure that my blush doesn't get too close to my nose or too close under my eyes or too far below my nose. It's just kind of right where it needs to be. And this is another reason I like to use like powder contour and highlighter too, because I feel like I can just kind of blend everything into each other a lot more easily than if I was just using creams. You can use cream blush though, and I do often use it, and I will do another video where you can kind of see what like a cream blush and like a liquid blush would be as well. So that's kind of how we would do like our blush and our contour and highlight. The next thing we're going to talk about would be our eyebrows and our eyeliner, and then we will do a little bit about lips and setting your makeup, and then your basic corrective makeup will be complete.